and welcome back to DSAT English, Standard Conventions of English. This is part 2. My name is Minji Kim, and today we're going to be covering form, structure, and sense. So this is a review from the last video where we covered boundaries and explained that there are two different major sections of the grammar section to the SAT. Previously, we covered boundaries, which covered linking clauses, supplements, and punctuation. Now we're going to be focusing a little more on form, structure, and sense, with an emphasis on subject-verb agreement, pronoun antecedent agreement, which is basically just saying that the pronoun must match the number in the subject that it refers to, and also the gender in the subject that it refers to. We also focus on verb forms, so making sure that they are in the correct form, whether it be past, present, future, etc. Then we have the subject modifier placement, so this is just making sure that we have no dangling modifiers. The modifier is actually modifying what we want it to modify. And then we have plural and possessive nouns, which is pretty self-explanatory. Again, we have the parts of sentence that is absolutely fundamental to understanding and performing well on the DSAT grammar portion. Again, we have the IC, DC, conjunction, simple subject, verb, modifier, appositive, adverbs, prepositional phrases, or PP, punctuation, direct object, or DO, and indirect object, IO. So make sure that you guys know every single one of these because they are all very important. Alrighty. Form, structure, and sense. The basic tips are basically the same. Use elimination. Look at the parts of the sentence. If there is a modifier, if you think there is a modifier, first of all, identify if there actually is a modifier. Then determine what the modifier is trying to modify. And then look at your answer choices and go down the list and eliminate the ones that don't modify the correct noun. Next, look at logical patterns. Was there extra information? This you can determine, you can use to determine if there's a modifier or not. Additionally, grammatical correctness. This is a constant in any of the SAT grammar portions, but this time, instead of focusing on the supplements and linking clauses, we have more of an emphasis on subject-verb agreement, pronoun antecedent agreement for forms, etc. So I feel that the best way to learn how to solve these problems is by actually going through a few problems and having maybe a tutor help you, or in this case, this video walk you through how to solve these problems. After you see a few of these problems being solved, you'll see the pattern pretty quickly and be able to identify what type of problem this is and what is correct and what is incorrect. So let's go look at a few of them. So all of the questions on the slide have been taken from the SAT official question bank and have the maximum difficulty because why not go into the thick of it? Because usually when you have someone that is able to walk you through it and you can review a harder question, then you learn the most that way. Alrighty, so let's look at this one. So it's a conventions of standard English thing, and we see that despite being cheap, versatile, and easy to produce, blank, they are made from non-renewable petroleum and do not biodegrade in landfills. So let's look at the answer choices. First of all, for A, do we think that despite being cheap, versatile, and easy to produce, is that modifying there are two problems? Is it modifying the fact that there are two problems? I don't think so, because it's not, it doesn't make sense for the cheap, versatile, and easy to produce being two problems. Additionally, B has the same issue. We are modifying two problems. Two problems is not cheap, easy, and versatile and easy to produce. That's not something we want. So both A and B are out of the running. Then we look at C. And this one's a little bit sneakier, but you see that there is an apostrophe after the S and plastics. So commercial plastics is actually another, it's acting as an adjective to the two associated problems. So again, the subject that the modifier would be modifying in C would be the two associated problems. In D, we see that the subject that the modifier would be modifying is commercial plastics. So plastic is cheap, easy, and versatile. So in this case, the answer would be D. Additionally, it is plastic. It is plastic that has two associated problems, and those two problems that are listed after that colon in a list is that they are made from non-renewable petroleum, which is problem number 1, and problem number 2 is most do not biodegrade in landfills. Thus, D is grammatically correct and can fill in this space. Alrighty, in this next question, we see that entomologists Yash Sondi and Samuel Fabian have tried to explain why moths erratically fly around light sources at night, knowing that flying insects keep their packs pointed toward sunlight during the day, comma, and so now we have to fill in who is doing the knowing. We see that the sentence starts with knowing that flying insects, blah, 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 blah. So whatever noun comes next in these sentences has to be the subject that is doing the knowing. So in this case, let's look at A. The first noun that comes after is the researchers. So this tells us that the researchers know that flying insects, blah, 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 you know. So let's keep A. That sounds good. Let's look at B. Can a theory know that flying insects keep their backs pointed? Blah, blah. No, so B's out. Again, moths do not. I highly doubt that the question makers intended for the moths to be the ones doing the knowing. So C is also out. D is out for the same reason. So let's go back to A. A is the only one that fits in that context. So now let's plug A in as a whole. Knowing that flying insects keep their backs pointed toward sunlight during the day, the research theorized that the moths, mistaking nighttime lights for the sun, continually try to reorient their bodies while flying near such lights. A makes complete grammatical sense as a part and as a whole, and is the only one that makes sense because the SAT is an objective test. Thus, the answer is A. In this next problem, we see a slightly different type of question. Whereas previously we were looking at modifiers and making sure that there are no dangling modifiers, in this question we're looking as it seems to be the correct form of a verb in both tense and plurality. So let's read the question. During the American Civil War, Thomas Morris Chester braved the front lines as a war correspondent for the Philadelphia Press, amplifying the voices and experiences of black soldiers, blank, of particular importance of Chester, who later became an activist and lawyer during the post-war Reconstruction period. So the first thing I want you to do is identify the simple subject of this sentence. Okay, if you chose amplifying, you are correct. So in this case, amplifying, and then in this context, this took place in the past, so are is out. And amplifying is a singular noun in this case. So were is plural and have been is also plural. So the answer we are left with D. So amplifying was of particular importance to Chester. Does make grammatical sense, and there's no other conflictions, therefore the answer is D, was. The last example I'm going to go over is also of a similar sort. Here we're looking again for the subject-verb agreement, and let's go. A species of Biropsis algae produces toxins to avoid being eaten by predators. However, in some cases, the toxins the organism uses to protect itself from predation usually blank its attractiveness to predators. The Hawaiian sea slug, for example, not only tolerates Biropsis toxins, but actually uses them for protection in the same way algae does. Alrighty, again, the first thing I notice is that the blank portion is the verb. So we need to identify the subject the verb is referring to. I'll give you a moment. Okay. So if you chose toxins, then you are correct. So in this case, toxins blank its attractiveness to predators. So toxins, we note that it is plural, and because this is a fact, the facts always have to be in present tense. D is out, and we also know that toxins is plural, therefore the answer needs to be plural. Therefore, C is out and A is out. Therefore, our only answer choice left is B, increase. So the toxins increase its attractiveness to predators. In conclusion, you use many of the same skills that you used in boundaries. However, take particular note of what the modifiers are trying to modify, and any simple subjects or verbs that you might need to fill in. Make sure that you use the correct tense for facts and things that are in the present, use the present tense. For historical things, like in the Civil War, blah blah blah, he did do something, then use the past tense. Also, please take note of any commas or semicolons or apostrophes, especially apostrophes when you look at the dangling modifier questions. Those can be a little tricky, so always know what you're, for the modifier questions, always know what you're modifying or what you're trying to modify, and search for that in your answer choices and eliminate all the ones that don't have it. For the more parallelism ones and the ones regarding subject-verb agreement or pronoun agreement, take note of what that verb or pronoun is referring to, and take note if it's plural, and take note of its gender, if it has one, and then from there you can look for your answer and use the process of elimination if you have to. Alrighty, thank you for watching DSAT Grammar, and I wish you the best of luck.